this kid just fucking hoops, man. He is so goddamn good. Sengun has a never-ending bag and ways that he is going to get buckets quite easily. The best footwork in the draft. Easily. By far. He's going to have probably, top 3 footwork in the entire NBA as soon as he steps on the floor. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic there, but I'm just... I'm trying to think of, just from a strictly footwork perspective, obviously post play where he shows off his footwork the most is not like the most en vogue trend in the NBA in 2021. But I'm trying to think just rationally, like, who matches up footwork wise, and it's not a long list. He might not be top 3, but it's not a long list. His footwork is that special. His skill level down low as a scorer is unreal, right? I mean, he literally, he's putting guys in just absolute spin cycles. Like, guys stand no chance. If you're guarding him one-on-one and he backs you down, if he does a little, drop step over the left shoulder, turn to the right, and you get there and you guard that, he's just going to work you with the footwork, come back left, keeping his pivot, and if you don't get that one, he's going to go back right and get you another time. He has counters to counters, and then counters to the counters from the counters. I mean, from an 18-year-old kid, I can't express enough, like, I don't know who the last guy I've seen with this kind of footwork at that age. I mean, from a guard perspective, it was Luka. With all that said, do you think that there's anything to the skepticism about him being kind of like a primary post player in the NBA in 2021?
So here's the thing, and I think, I was listening to Russillo and Chad Ford today. They did a pod together, and they talked about Sengun, and they talked about some of their reservations about him and wondering if he's going to have the foot speed or the size to survive on the next level. And this is what I honestly think, Corey. I feel like a lot of the times, and they were even talking about Davion, and I do want to mention this really quickly. Chad Ford was saying how when he watches Davion, his biggest concern is like the traditional things that they've learned, right? Like, if you take a guy who's older in the lottery, you might pay for it. If you take a guy who's smaller in the lottery, you might pay for it. However, when you watch Davion on the screen, he really pops. And so when I was hearing his argument for Davion, that's exactly how I feel about Sengun. Where Sengun, you might look at him and you might think of like modern day NBA basketball and be like, okay, the big man is extinct, right? Who plays in the post, blah, blah, blah. He's not athletic enough. His feet are slow. Who's he going to defend on the next level? My thing is, I think we have to take those traditional frames of how we view prospects sometimes and throw that out the window when we get guys who pretty much look like outliers when we were watching their tape. And that's exactly how I feel about Sengun, where Sengun is such an outlier compared to what we're seeing in the league right now. And he's an outlier on so many different levels. Corey, I think you and I are ready right now to talk 20 minutes about his passing. His passing is a real outlier. His post work, real outlier. His intensity, his effort is going to be pretty much at an elite level as soon as he walks in to the league. My first thing that I wrote in my notes, plays with the aggression of both of Nikola Jokic's brothers, is exactly what I wrote. Because you see that when you watch his freaking tape. This guy is an absolute animal. You see him on the offensive boards. Who's going to stop that? It's unreal, his work rate. It's like Clint. He's like an angry Clint Capella going for offensive rebounds. Not that he has the same length or size of Clint Capella, but what I'm trying to say to you, Corey, is that of course, if we look at him through the lens of traditional expectations and traditional standards of what we think a prospect is going to develop into, sure, Sengun has some things that leave you a little concerned. There are obviously might be some questions there, but for me, he is such an outlier as a package that you have to kind of throw that out the window and just take the sum of his parts and be like, there's not really anybody like him right now, and that has to mean something.